Hello, welcome to Middle-Aged Geek Girl. I'm Sally. So today's video is going to be something that's a little bit overdue, and that is the next Flosstube video. So I want to share with you some of my recent completed pieces as well as those I am still working on. So obviously WIP. So here's the first completed piece I have. This one I started for my hashtag event for February, which the theme was Ancient Egypt, and I finished it in March, and I really do like it. I even did the fringing for the actual bookmark. Just to show you the back here, not too bad I think for me, because I'm quite a messy cross stitcher, but I managed to tuck in the thread quite well, and when I was a bit naughty and spread the thread quite a distance, as you can see there, I managed to secure it down with threads going, or stitches going that way. So I don't think it's too bad. Yeah, really quite happy with it. There are a couple of mistakes in it because this is a counted cross stitch, not a stamped one. There was one line I did twice because I completely miscounted where I was at, but it really has not affected the overall image at all. It's down here somewhere in her neck area, so it hasn't really affected it. The fabric was really soft and easy to stitch on, and yeah, it was a real pleasure to do, and for me to finish it in about a month it took me by the time I finished it all. That's really good for me because I can do these things and have them outstanding for a year, which you will see in my whips in a moment. But that is a completed piece, so yay to that. This is another one I completed. This was part of what I did for M.A.G.G's Y250 March, and it's Totoro, and it's a beaded cross stitch. So it's my first cross stitch kit that's beaded, and of course, so you got your front and you've got your back, and you stuff him full of all the stuffing and then sew it up. So yeah, I was really quite happy with this. I'd never done a beaded cross stitch before. They're not as hard as I was thinking they would be. Well, on this level, it wasn't as hard as I was thinking it would be. The only thing I found annoying was the seed beads. They're never exactly the same. The white ones look actually like they're all sort of uniform, but these grey ones to make Totoro, you would get tiny thin slithers, and then some really fat ones. So trying to balance it up so it all goes the same way and fills up the square accurately was a bit of a pain when it came to the grey ones. Yeah, the white ones were mostly pretty good. The green ones again were the same as the grey ones. It must be to do with if it's a solid colour like the white one, or if it's more of a glass type colour like the grey and the green. Because yeah, I didn't have an issue much with the black either that goes on the outside, the solid black. But it was a nice little thing to do, and now I'm comfortable with doing beaded cross stitch. I have another kit which is a Tigger. I will do that one on camera with you all. So if you're interested in how to do beaded cross stitch, hopefully I can give you the encouragement to try it if I do it online with you or on camera with you, because I managed to do this without any knowledge on how to do them. So I'm sure you all can do them too. So that's the second finish I have for the year so far. And I have a third finish, and then I have two whips. So this one is a Joy Sunday kit, and it is of this little swimming bear. It's called August Bear, and this is the floss that's left over. So you do get a lot of floss left over. However, saying that, I did run out of one colour and almost ran out of another. I ran out of colour 8. I don't think it was anything I was doing, because I didn't knot the thread or anything where I had to get rid of a bunch of it. It just, I don't think I got enough of it. But it's okay because it's a bear. I just substituted it with another colour. It didn't really affect the outcome. Now the only other thing I didn't do that's on here is doing the outline or the back stitch. to go all around it, because this one took me almost a year to finish. Now, it's not because it's big and it's not because it's hard. It's because I've mentioned before with the ADHD, if I turn off of a hobby, I don't look at it for a long time. And I'd started it and then sadly turned off of cross stitching, so I didn't want to do it anymore. And then when I got back onto it, I got this finished relatively quickly. And that is the problem with how my brain works. But I'll show you the completed piece. Now, I added something to it as well, because I have mentioned in the past that I like to customize things when I can. Of course, this was a stamped one, so this is a good example to show you. Firstly, when you wash it away, all of the gridding, all of the previous colors, all of your key that goes along here and here disappears. And that was just by soaking this in some warm water and a little bit of washing powder. Having a look at the back, this one, again, a bit messier than I would like to do. I'm not the neatest of cross stitches, I know I'm not. Now for the bit that I've had pixelated out throughout this video, here's what I added to customize it. I added the words muff diver. That wasn't part of the original kit at all. And because there's the space to do it, because if you can ignore the fact it had the key down here, you know you can quite easily stitch over those squares because the bottom ink will dissolve in the water. It's part of the reason I bought this kit. I knew I was going to customize it with that word. So that's all those words. That's what I've done. Here's a little muff diver all ready to go. And I also don't think it looks too bad without me doing the back stitch on it. I mean, it just gives you that little bit more detail, but I honestly don't think he needs it, and I haven't done that. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with him yet. I think it's cute if you can customize. You don't have to be like me and customize it with those words, but if you can customize something and you've got the extra space to do it, I think you should. It's always a good thing to do. So he was the third piece I've completed so far this year. So we'll put him aside and we'll move on to the whips. So it's another Joy Sunday kit I'm working on. And it is, I started this one for the month of Japan as well, and obviously that has finished and I am nowhere near finishing, but it's this piece here, which is Beautiful Girl Listening to Music, and it's a stamped kit, slightly smaller than the bear one I showed you, but here is what I've done so far. So I've done her eyes, her face, part of her sleeve, any bit that's a skin tone, and I'm currently working on a colour number 8, which is part of her hair. Hopefully this helps people see what it looks like when you're working on a stamped cross stitch kit. So as you saw with the bear, once you've washed this, all of this disappears and it just becomes a beautiful white fabric. I am doing a lot neater on this one because rather than stretch the thread over like I normally would do, I'm just ending it and starting it again at the beginning of the next batch of colour. So she is probably the neatest I've stitched anything. And I think I'll definitely get this finished through April. There shouldn't be a reason I don't. But let me just pop her away. Now the last whip I'm going to show you, I will give a content warning because it is very much adults only, and I mean adults only. It is a cross stitch kit from an artist known as Tom of Finland, and if you know his work, it's very erotic, I guess, so that you have been warned. So first of all, I'll show you the clean bit. This is how much I've done of it. So it's this one I've been doing for over a year. It's one that I work on for a little bit and then go, oh, I can't, because it's very confetti with the colour, but not for the white background, but it's going to be a huge amount of white until you get to bits that need to have an outline, because it's mostly done in grayscale. And I wasn't originally going to do the white. I thought, it's white fabric. Why am I putting white thread on white fabric? But I am doing it anyway. But what I'm doing is it only as a half stitch. So you can't really tell, which is what I like about it. So anything that's not white is getting the full stitch treatment. But for everything else that's going to be white, I'm just doing the half stitch treatment. And I think that is going to work. And it also means I will eventually get it done, hopefully by the end of this year. But yeah, it's just something I have to work on gradually and then give myself a break. It's also 11 count, so it's not too bad. And here's an example of me being messy, because the way it had to go, you do one stitch there of the colour, and then all of a sudden over there you do another stitch of the colour, then over there you got to have one more stitch of it. So you can see I've just been running the fabric back and forth frantically in those bits, and that's why I say I'm a messy stitcher. I mean, if you are avid cross stitcher and you've got tips on how to go about when you've just got one stitch here and one stitch there, do you actually do them as one stitch at a time and cut the fabric off and cut the thread off and start it again, or do you run it like that, like me? Because I think I just don't have the patience to do it one at a time. That's the canvas. Now let me show you the actual image I'm working on. So I will have to blur out some of this because I know YouTube will be a bit too emotional about it. For my patrons, I will put the actual image up there locked to my patrons, so if you want to see the full image you can. It's just on YouTube, sorry, you won't be able to. So this is what the image is I'm stitching, and the bit that's highlighted there in orange is all I've done out of the entire piece. Yeah, there's a lot more to go on it, and it's going to take me a little while, considering all of this sort of slash figure here. It's, as you can see, all of this part, it's just all purely white. So yeah, it's only these grayer bits that have the color, so it's going to take a while. But that is the image, which I'll now remove so we can go back to your regular screening. But they are what I've done so far in regards to cross stitching. So hey, pretty good for me. I've completed 3 for the year already, and I have 2 whips. So I'm really happy with that. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these kits, and yeah, advice on, are you a tidy cross stitcher or are you a messy one like me? I love to hear from you, and I always respond. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, I have a Ko-fi and a Patreon account set up, and the details are up here on screen. But you can also help me by subscribing and hitting that like button, and also the notification bell. That all helps the YouTube algorithm, and that also helps me out immensely. But I think that will do it for this video. So thank you again for watching. Until next time, please stay weird, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.